Hi, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to our week number 2 live stream for my 4-week intro psych class, where we're in week number 2. 59071 is our course number. I hope everyone is doing well. Can you all hear me and see me okay? Would somebody let me know in the chat if you can hear and see me just fine with like a thumbs up or a yes or something like that? That would be amazing. Perfect. Yes, love it. That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, just make sure you put your name in there, Cynthia. That's perfect. Okay, great. I'm glad you can all hear me just fine. I hope everyone is enjoying. It feels like summer today for the first time. I have to say it was warm. My kids wanted to swim. I was ready for ice cream. It kind of feels like we finally hit summer. It's going to get into like the 90s this weekend. So hang in there, stay cool. The hot summer weather's not my favorite, but it is nice to have summer break, and the warm weather definitely makes it feel that way. So anyway, what we will do today, since it's week number 2, I want to take just a couple of minutes and give you a little bit of feedback about week number 1. And then we'll take the rest of the time to talk about what we have going on this week, what you have that is due. I will, of course, give you the extra credit question for the week, and then I will end to see if there are any questions and then a couple of announcements. So I'll go over to Canvas here, and hopefully what you saw, as promised, is yesterday on Monday, what I did is I did go through and grade all of your discussions and bring over all of your exam scores. And you can count on that to happen every Monday. And then I typically send out like a little brief email with some general feedback that I saw. And then what I'd like to do in these live streams is just kind of highlight a few things from that feedback, just to help you continue to understand what I'm looking for and hopefully keep doing better and better. A lot of you should be feeling really good. There were a lot of great scores on the exam, a lot of A's on the discussions. So if we look really quickly at week number 1, which is now in the past, right? We are 1/4 of the way through a very short class that we have together. Just a couple of general comments. So if we look at discussion number 1, for the most part, a lot of really wonderful responses, right? I was really impressed. Most of you elaborated. You gave me great responses. If you lost a couple of points, the most common reasons were that you just didn't give me enough. Always better to elaborate and kind of give me too much, if anything. And then some people struggled a little bit with the nature and nurture part. The last question, I was looking for you to give me a little bit more. I wanted you to define nature and nurture. A couple of people define nature as like plants and trees and animals, like the world around us. And in the context of psychology, we're looking more at like genetics and what comes to you naturally and like a hereditary kind of influences and genetics. So for the most part, really nicely done. Again, those are the biggest reasons people lost points or not replying to a classmate. Remember, as it says up here, I want you to read through a minimum of 5 of your classmates' responses and then reply to one of them. And that peer response is worth 2 points. And I know that 2 points doesn't seem like a lot, but it will definitely add up if you're not doing it every time. So make sure you get those very easy 2 points by always responding to a classmate. The other discussion that you had for last week, discussion number 2, just a couple of quick notes on that. With discussion number 2, scroll down here, you were looking at neurons and the brain and the 10% myth of the brain. The biggest reason that people lost points here was question number 2. So when you were talking about how neurons communicate with each other, I was looking for you to mention something related to electrochemical communication. So talking about the electrical piece with the ions and the chemical piece with neurotransmitters. A few of you kind of didn't go there, or I needed a little bit more detail. But for the most part, a lot of you did a great job. I hope you enjoyed reading the articles about the 10% myth of the brain. Really, really common myth. It's highlighted in a lot of movies and TV shows. A lot of you did a beautiful job with responding to these. Again, lots of like 13, 14, 15 points. And if you found that you did lose some points when you are answering the prompts this week, try to just elaborate a little bit more, go into more detail. It's really your chance to show off your knowledge and understanding of the materials. So those were 2 of the things that you had last week. The only other component that you had was the first exam. And again, a lot of you did really, really well. It was worth 75 points in total. And I wrote this down here on my page. The average time that people took to take the exam was about 59 minutes. So what that tells me is that most of you had plenty of time. You had up to 75 to take it. The average score was about an 88 to 89%. So a couple of people got 100%, and then the low score, I had it here just a second ago, the low score was a 43. So definitely a little bit of a range. I would really encourage you to use the exam as a learning opportunity. Right? So if you are really happy with how you did, keep doing the same thing. It clearly worked for you. If you wish you had done a little bit better, some common things that you might do this week. If you didn't do the study guide, that's probably the biggest one. If you completed that and had that in front of you, I would imagine that it was very, very helpful as you went through the exam. If you weren't reading the chapters, that could be another thing that you can consider. Or you could also study one chapter at a time. Right? So with every single week, we have 4 different chapters. And so you could study chapter 1 and then add 2 and then add 3 and so on. And maybe breaking it up like that might be a little bit helpful. But again, a lot of you should be very happy with how you did. If you're happy with it, keep going. Do the same thing for week 2. If you wish you had done a little bit better, now is a really good time to kind of switch that up a little bit. I also graded all of the extra credit assignments from last week. I was happy to see that so many of you took advantage of that. And I will continue to give you an extra credit question every week during our 4-week class. So please keep doing those. Those points will definitely help. If you lost a few points on the first discussion or that first exam, that would help you to make up for it. So before I move on to week number 2, are there any questions at all? Any thoughts, questions, comments about week number 1? Anything from last week before we keep going? This class goes so fast. I can't believe we're already like 1/4 of the way. I can't believe it's almost July. Like next week is the 4th of July. Like that went so quickly. It's ridiculous. So, I'll wait just a second. If you have any like questions or thoughts, anything from last week. One other thing as well while I'm waiting, I did send out in the announcement for week number 2, I made a little video on how to find your grades and your feedback. So if you weren't able to see the feedback or the rubric kind of responses that I gave you, that would be a great video to go watch. It's like a 1.5 minutes, but I showed you where you could find all of that if you were having a hard time finding it. Okay. So I'm not seeing anything for now, so I'm going to move on. But of course, if you think of any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I will get to them. But this week, week number 2, ends this Sunday. And this Sunday is July 2nd, right? So you have all the way till Sunday, July 2nd to complete everything for this week. And just like last week, right, we have 4 chapters, 2 discussions, and an exam. So you can expect that consistency every week. I think that's really helpful in remembering what you need to do. The only other thing that's on here is you do have a little self-assessment, which I'll talk about in a few minutes when we get there. Okay. An optional practice, someone asked, is there an optional practice test? I noticed the study guide was things to know. So no, there isn't a practice test that you can take. The study guide is all of the terms and concepts that you need to know for the exam. There are some little review activities that I showed you last week on the ebook site up at the top, but there aren't necessarily practice tests to help you. So the best thing that I would recommend would be to fill out the study guide and kind of have it in front of you. And that way, as you're taking the test, if you forget something or you need to reference it, it's really easy for you to access. So this week, we are looking at chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we're looking at consciousness, learning, memory, and cognition. 4 very core topics to this class. Consciousness is probably my favorite of all of them. I love chapter 5. It was a lot of fun writing it. All about like dreams and sleep and hypnosis and drugs, right? A very interesting topic. Learning is something that's really fascinating, talking about conditioning and how we can shape behaviors. Memory, how do we hold on to the things that we have learned? And then cognition, kind of applying things using problem solving, brainstorming, and so on. So with these, just like last week, what you'll want to do is do 3 things for every single chapter. So you want to read the chapter in the ebook. You want to read through the lecture. and then you want to watch the lecture video. And between those three things, it should really, really help you. There's a lot of links in these, especially the chapter on learning. So if I click on the chapter 6 learning lecture for a moment, I just want to give you a little bit of a heads up that chapter 6 is probably the most challenging topic and chapter in this class. And the main reason for that is just it's a lot of terminology. So I tried to give you a lot of examples in the ebook. I talked about my sweet mother-in-law food poisoning me with chili. There's a lot of examples about like ice cream. There's some videos in here that might be helpful. Definitely make sure to click on all the links, read through all of them. On the Beyond the Book page, I have a little video that highlights Pavlov's experiment, a little bit about baby Albert and John Watson. Lots of stuff in pop culture. There's a great clip from The Big Bang Theory highlighting conditioning. You'll be looking at this clip in the discussion related to The Office. There's also some books. And then on the final page on application, there's also a great little video that will come back for the extra credit this week. So of all of the chapters, definitely take some time on chapter 6, as the terminology tends to trip people up a little bit. Even people who have degrees in psychology tend to struggle with it. So I would definitely spend a little bit of more time on chapter 6. Once you've read all 4 chapters, done all the lectures and all of that, you do have 2 discussions and an exam. So let's go ahead and go through those together. Discussion number 3. As always, you have my instructions up here at the top. And again, a lot of you did beautifully on the discussions, but if you lost a few points this week, try and give me a little bit more, right? Try and give me a little bit more detail, elaborate a little bit more, and that's going to help you to get those points. Always make sure to watch my video. I think that they're helpful. I hope you find them helpful. I thought that they would be. But for this discussion, you're looking at dreams. And I think this is kind of a fun one. I love dream interpretation. I think it's really, really interesting and fascinating. I have dreams all the time that are like extensions of waking life when I fall asleep watching food shows, but I think this is a really great opportunity for you to think about a dream that you've had recently and look at it in kind of a practical way. So you're going to watch my video. I did give you some tips. So I don't know how many of you this is true for, but a lot of people struggle to remember their dreams. Every single one of us dreams, but a lot of us struggle to remember them. And so if that's you, I did give you a bunch of tips for how to remember dreams a little bit better. If you still can't remember a dream after everything, after trying, waking yourself up, after keeping a journal, after all of that, you could always use a dream of somebody else in your life. So you could ask a family member or a friend or a partner if they wouldn't mind sharing a dream. Or the other thing that you could try is you could always talk about a reoccurring dream if you've had like a repeating one throughout your life. So totally up to you, but if you can't think of your own dream, you can come up with one from somebody else. So you're going to read this little article on dream theories. And then select a dream that you had recently that you still remember and just kind of briefly describe it, right? So about a paragraph or 2, right? Just kind of describing what happened in it. And then you're going to explain your dream from a minimum of 2 of the dream theories that we talked about in either the article or the textbook. And what I really want you to do is to explain to me the theory, right? Make sure you explain the theory that you're using and then connect it to your dream. How might it explain what your dream means or where it came from? Lots of different theories. So if you have a dream that's random, there's a theory for that. If you had a dream that feels like wish fulfillment, there's a dream theory for that. If it feels like an extension of waking life, same thing. So you can take the same dream and very easily analyze it from a lot of different perspectives. And I want you to do that with 2 of them for this discussion. And then finally, why do you personally think that we dream? So again, in my opinion, a lot of fun. And if you do struggle with remembering dreams, make sure you watch my video as I did give you a bunch of tips for how to hold on to them. The other discussion that you have this week, discussion number 4, if we click on that, just to go through that one. Same thing, instructions, video, right? This one is related to memory. And if you were taking this class with me in person, I would give you this challenge in person. I would make you memorize a 28-digit sequence of letters and numbers in order, and you would have to recall it during class. Lucky for you, you don't have to do that, but I'm going to have you watch my video to get that 28-digit sequence. And then you're going to write about it. If you needed to hold on to this and you had no way of writing it down, right? You have to rely solely on your memory. How would you hold on to it for a matter of seconds? And how would you hold on to it for a matter of days? Now, these should be very different strategies, and I would like you to talk about different strategies that would be the most appropriate for the length of time you're remembering it. Be specific, right? If you come up with a story, what's that called and what's your story? If you do things like chunking and other stuff, like what did you do? How did you hold on to it? You're going to describe all that to me in detail. I gave you my story. If you watch the video, I told you what my story was for remembering it. Very Walking Dead inspired, though not necessarily accurate. And then you're going to describe in detail 2 strategies used in the lecture or book that you could use to help remember stuff for exams. And then do you have any personal tips for memory that you would like to share? What strategies do you use in your life to help you remember important information? Like for me, for example, mine is always, where do I park my car? Right? Like we went to Hawaii recently and we parked our car at the Flyaway in Van Nuys. And like in my mind, I was like repeating over and over and over again, trying to make a story out of where we parked the car so I wouldn't forget when we came back. Now, obviously I can take a picture, but I always try and push myself to remember it. So if you have any little personal tips, what would they be, and explain. So make sure, as always, again, think about them as like mini papers, really elaborate. Don't forget to reply to a classmate to get those 2 points. And those are 2 of the kind of big assignments that you have this week. And then, of course, you have an exam, right? Every week, 2 discussions, 1 exam. So exam number 2 is just on the 4 chapters from this week. So chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8. I gave you a study guide just like last week so that you know what to prepare and what to know. So just like last week, a couple of tips for you. If it's on the study guide, it will be on the exam. Now, this one has no diagrams, it's just terms. So make sure you know all these terms from chapter 5, 6, 7, and 8. If it's on here, make sure you know it. If it were me, I would go through and type and write all these out, and I would have it in front of me. A lot of you did so well on the first exam, so just if that worked for you, keep it up. If you wish you had done better, definitely use the study guide. It should be really, really helpful. A couple of other things. The exam is on the ebook site, just like last time. And I gave you some suggestions last week, and I'll just kind of quickly reiterate a few of them. The exam, you have 75 minutes to take it, right? And you get 1 attempt. So really make sure that you're ready and organized before you begin, because once you hit start, you're in it. Make sure that you've done the study guide, that you have good internet, you have a quiet place to take the exam. All of those things are going to set you up for success. I would also really, really recommend that you don't wait until Sunday night, right? It feels like that is always when things go wrong. Internet crashes, computer crashes, whatever it might be, your power goes out. So set yourself up for success. Study, be organized, be ready. And again, remember, there's no trick questions. It should be very straightforward. So as long as you're studying and preparing, you should do really, really well. And again, a lot of you did beautifully on the first exam, and I hope that you only get more and more comfortable and familiar as we go through the class. Same format, same style, multiple choice, true, false, and matching, and no diagrams, as I said, on this one. So are there any questions at all about the second exam? Anything that I can answer for you, that if you're having a hard time finding something, or if you have any general questions about the test? This is where I miss being able to see all of you so I could see your faces. But if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. Otherwise, make sure you do study and prepare. Again, the exams are worth a lot of points, but having your notes and book, hopefully that's really, really helpful for you and can help you be successful. There's one other thing that you have this week, and you'll do a couple of these. You'll do one next week as well. I made a little self-assessment for you, and this is something that I think we're trying to do more of at the college. getting you to take a moment to kind of assess where you are at and what you're doing so far. So with this assessment, it is worth 5 points. You have as much time as you want. Please be honest. This is for you, not for me. Okay, so this is a chance for you to take a moment and consider your progress and grades and approach to the class. So if you wish that you want to do things a little bit better, this is a good time to think about it. If you're happy with how you're doing, a good time to think about that. So when you're ready, you'll hit take the survey. And again, you have as much time as you need. Please be honest. It's just questions related to like, how much are you doing? I'm turning in my stuff on time. What's your most unclear point? Are you going to do anything differently moving forward? It shouldn't take you very long, but I think it is a wonderful opportunity for you to kind of think about what you've done so far and if there's anything that you would like to change. So those are your big assignments for this week, right? Read chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8 in the book. Read the lectures and the lecture videos for all of them. Complete discussions 3 and 4. Complete exam number 2. And then don't forget about the little short 5-point self-assessment. I will obviously give you the extra credit here in just a moment, but are there any questions for me at all? I do have a couple of quick announcements for you, but any questions, thoughts, comments? While I'm waiting for you, I'm going to give you a couple of quick reminders. If you have not already, make sure that you put your first and last name in the chat. Looking at the chat, almost every single one of you that is in here is subscribed, which is fantastic. So you don't need to worry about putting your name. Remember that if you are watching this later as a recording, the only way that you can get those 5 points and answer the question is if you are subscribed, so I can track your participation. So take a moment every week and make sure that you still have that status. Try and figure it out if you haven't already. Thank you so much for those of you who have. It saves me so much time, and I am so incredibly grateful for that. So thank you. The other announcement that I have for you, if you look at the calendar, I just want to give you a quick reminder about our live stream for next week. So I'll put this here in the chat as well. Our week number 3 Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, July 5th at 8 o'clock p.m. So same time next week, but it'll be on Wednesday. I'm not going to do a live stream on the 4th of July. I'll let you enjoy your holiday and relax and watch the fireworks and whatever you're going to do if you celebrate. But we will have a Twitch live stream on Wednesday next week, July 5th at 8 o'clock p.m. And that week, what I will do, like usual, I'll give you a little bit of feedback about this week's materials. And then we'll go over what's due, some reminders, the extra credit, and all that kind of stuff. So that will be next week, Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Otherwise, let me give you the extra credit question, and then I can see if you have any questions for me. So this should be something that is helpful for you with the chapter on learning. As I mentioned, the chapter on learning is a little bit more challenging. And so what I've done is given you another example, another way to just kind of review. So I'm going to put this here in the chat and then we'll talk about it. So for your week number 2 extra credit, I want you to watch the clip called The Attack of the Quack. And you can find this in the lecture for chapter 6, and I'll show you that again in a moment. And you're going to identify the US, UR, CS, and CR in the clip. You aren't defining them. You're identifying what those 4 components are. And this is going to be something that's really hopefully helpful for you in understanding and also in studying. So let's go to Canvas for a moment here. You can find that video in my lecture video. I did play it there. But you can also find it if you click on Chapter 6 Lecture. It is on the very last page. So if you click on Application right here, it's the video that's at the bottom. So this is the Attack of the Quack clip. It's only about 1.5 minutes. It's a prank. It's kind of funny. But you'll watch this clip and then you'll identify the unconditioned stimulus, unconditioned response, conditioned stimulus, and conditioned response. And again, it's going to just give you a good opportunity to review that a little bit. Once you have finished the clip and you're ready to answer the question, you can do that under this week. So under week number 2, you'll click on extra credit, optional extra credit number 2 right here. And then it's going to bring up this thing. So you can click on start assignment. And then in the box, you can type your response. I spelled response wrong, but that's okay. Type your response and then hit submit. And that'll give you that little confetti burst and flowers this time. Very exciting. And that is worth 5 points, right? So this is due by Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. like everything else. Everything from this week is due by Sunday, July 2nd at 11:59 p.m. But I do grade these throughout the week periodically. So if you get it wrong, I will give you, I'll let you know, give you another chance. But I'm glad to see some of you taking advantage of these. If you missed a few points on the exam or the discussion, this is definitely going to help you make up for that. So I'm glad to see some of you taking advantage. Other than that, those are the really big things for this week. Let's see, let's go back. So read the chapters to the 2 discussions, the exam, the self-assessment, and then if you would like, you can do that optional extra credit. And other than that, I will post a recording of this either later tonight or tomorrow. So if you're watching this later, you found it. Otherwise, it's there if you forget something or want to go back and reference it. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Enjoy the hot summer weather this weekend. Oh, I had a cat near me, but then she took off. She saw me going for her and left. Squash. Oh, let's see. Here we know. Squash. Oh, look at, they know. They know I'm going to pick them up. I was trying to pick up a cat. Oh, I got one. I got one. All right. So you haven't seen this one. This is Whiskey. All right. He's my little black cat. Right. All the cats are coming out. No, I've got cats. So you have every opportunity to show a cat off if they come anywhere near me. Right? So anyway, as I was saying, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Definitely get going on the materials. I'm going to hang out for a little bit if you have any questions, or of course you can email me if you think of something later. Yeah, I have 2. So we have a black cat named Whiskey. He has a little crooked tail. And then we have a black and white cat named Binks from Hocus Pocus, because we got him right around Halloween. And then a orange cat named Squash and a gray cat named Rolly. So four cats. Whenever they come anywhere near me, I try and scoop them up. Oh, let's see. One more. This is Squash. Can't remember if I showed you Squash or not. This is Squash, my orange cat. Right? So, yeah, they're all came close today, right? I'll take it. Anyway, so I'll hang out for the next little bit if any of you do have any questions. Otherwise, have a wonderful week. Take care of yourselves, and I will hope to see you on Wednesday next week for our week number 3 stream. I'm going to minimize my video, but I will hang out for a little while if you have any questions. Oh, look, another cat. Let's see how many we can get in one stream. This is Rolly. I'm only short one. All right, so this is my 2-hander. This is Rolly. He's my favorite. He's such a good boy. I love this cat. Right? Okay. Oh my gosh. Have a wonderful 4th of July if you celebrate. Thank you all so much. I'm going to minimize my video, but I will hang out for a few more minutes if you have questions. Thank you so much for all of you who joined me live. It's really nice to have your company. And again, if you think of anything or have any other questions, I'll still be here for a few minutes.